guys, this is Jella and welcome back to my channel. I made a poll last week from the top 3 towns I keep getting requested on, and majority of you voted for Greece. And the first thing that came to my mind was Santorini. So this is part 1 in our Santorini-inspired towns series for the month of January build. And if you still haven't subscribed, I would appreciate if you do. Hehe. So I am in my main account. I haven't actually been using this since most of you are requesting for a no Gamepass build. But since this is Santorini, Greece, we will be using different levels. So what you will need is a multiple floor Gamepass and advanced placing as well. This is only a small plot, so if you have no large plot, then this would be perfect. You might wonder why my plot is green. I changed the grass color because I wouldn't be able to see through white snow. So you can add flooring to your whole plot if that's what makes it easier for you to add markings. So right now I am plotting out the layout of our town, and I will be making the markings first in the first floor. I'm just adding a staircase so I know where I will be making another floor level on the area. Because Santorini has a lot of staircase leading to different parts of the town, I made this layout quite simple to follow. This area on the right corner will be 2 apartment hotels, which we will be making on a different part of the series. This center will be the church, and then on the left we will add a cafe al fresco dining with the view. I will not add a lot of angled buildings, but I want to add a disclaimer right now. When I will be adding the leveled floor later, you guys might get confused on the layout. So that's why I plotted this markings in the first floor, so you can have a glimpse of what we will be doing throughout this part. We will also add a windmill on the very top back. So here is the layout. You can pause the video, and if you like to take a screenshot so you have a reference when things get confusing later on. And now I am starting to add walls. If you want to get a few money back, you can delete the markings that we added earlier and then add walls like I'm doing. But if this takes too much of your time, you can just place the walls down. But the fence markings bring a few money back, so I just delete it anyways, hehe. And if you noticed where we added a staircase, that means that the buildings will be on a different level. So you might get confused when I raise the floor level up and add walls on top of the layout we made earlier. You can also add walls on all of the markings we did on the first floor, and then just copy it on the right level. It will take a lot of money by doing that, but it also helps not to get confused. I adjusted some of the buildings so we can have quite a large walking space to work with on the next parts of this series. Most of these buildings will be one-story shops, but I will still add a second floor on just a few. I'm just following the layout we made down below, but I'm also quite confused right now since we cannot add a flooring. I was going to add one earlier, but if I did add a floor, I wouldn't be able to see the layout from below. Then I added this cafe building on the second level because I got confused, but it was supposed to be on the third level, so I remade it again. The building at the back of the cafe was supposed to be on the 4th level, but I will redo that later. There will be a lot of redos here since this is just making the layout of the town. And this is the windmill that will be at the very top of the mountain. I wanted to make the building of the apartment hotel in the episode where I make the hotel. But since we have to finish the layout, just make a 4x6 building on the marking and leave the rest of the area for a pool. Now that we have added the buildings, we will be adding a mountainside. The mountain will only be on the space left from the sides of this plot, so there isn't much that we will do. I am adding this large marking so we can delete this easier when we add walls. Quite expensive, but if you like to use the walls without making a marking, that would be cheaper as well. I'm just making this marking so if you guys would like to follow a few of the angles, but you can also make your own mountain slopes if you like. Now add a wall and color both sides first with linen and slate texture. This would be cheaper to duplicate. Since we have a fence marked on the ground, we can just follow it along with ease. When we finished making the bottom mountain, we will also make a few mountain slopes on different floor levels. I won't be adding markings on the upper levels. I will just add the walls and make curved slopes. Leave a few gaps not following the bottom layer of the mountain. This would give the sides and back of the mountain have layers and edges with simple wall angles. I didn't add curved angles on the side because of the apartment hotel. So I may or may not adjust this area on the episode where we make the hotel. I moved the apartment hotel another layer up because I forgot to raise it earlier. The same goes with the windmill and this restaurant that we will be adding on the top. I think I mentioned it earlier that I will be moving some buildings higher since I also got confused with the levels, hehe. I took a bathroom break and when I returned, I forgot that I stopped recording. So I had been building for quite some time, only to realize that I wasn't recording. So sorry guys, I did it again. I actually added flooring on the levels and used pebble texture with oyster color. There are some of the mountain floors, which I will be changing the texture to grass later on. So I'm just deleting the fence markings that we added earlier. So our mini Santorini is composed of 4 levels. The first will be some shops, then second level is more of a street market, and then the third level is apartment hotel, church, and cafe al fresco. Then fourth level is the last, which is the restaurant and windmill. If you have noticed, the 3x3 square buildings that I made is now a round building, so we can add this tower-looking style with dome roof. As for the rest of the buildings, I used a flat roof and adjusted the height of the corner arrow, so the border will be raised up. And I was trying something in this corner building. I wanted to make it an oval-shaped building so it would have a larger working space for a shop. But then I realized later on that I would have a problem with the roof, so I will be changing this to a smaller rounded 3x3 building. I continued adding flat roofs on the 1-story buildings and shops. I may or may not change the roofs, but that is how it looks for now. Let's do the dome roof, and good thing we have this round basic shapes. Since I have an advanced placing Gamepass, I will resize this to the widest dome shape. Now add a flat roof and adjust the height of the roof, but not too thick. Copy the flat roof on the rounded buildings. And this corner building that I mentioned earlier is when I realized that it was gonna be a problem. So I didn't push the oval-shaped building and stick to the rounded 3x3. I mentioned it earlier so you guys don't have to do this same mistake as I did. I adjusted the flooring so it won't look awkward ending. Now I can add a flat roof on this curved building. Okay, now I duplicated the dome roof that I made, but since I will be adding a detail on top of the roof later, I had to delete all the dome roof again. So save your money and skip this for now. Back to this building, I deleted the one we did earlier and made this to a large building instead. So I'm not sure if I will be making that into a house or a shop. Anyways, I went back to the front side of the plot because we have this open space here and I might as well turn this to more shops. Since Santorini is an island, we will use the few corner spaces to add water. But since we cannot add pool on the edges of the plot, I will just use floor tiles and look for a texture that resembles seawater. So I used foil with steel blue color. I added that on the sides where there is a space on the floor. Then I added a small shop on the right side, just to cover up the awkward mountain and water side. I'm gonna add this large dirt pile and color this the same as the water. We will be placing this on the edges so it would not look like a straight line. Repeat this on the other side as well. I left the back side with no water since it was the mountain side. Now we will add the sand part where the water ends. And I just used linen with slate texture. I used this field of flowers and colored this different shades of blue to look like it is sea foam. Add as many as you like for more details. Now let's add a pathway going to the shops in the first level, and I just copied the pebble floor texture we used on the other floors. You can also use cobblestone if you like, but I like how the small detail of this pebble looks like as a flooring. I then added concrete floor on the other spaces where I didn't add the pebble flooring. I changed the first staircase to an L classic staircase and got distracted because I was excited to color the dome roofs. So I used bright blue color. Now back to the staircase, I copied the pebble texture for the steps, but the base will be plain institutional white. And since I started coloring the buildings, I continued making all of the buildings to institutional white. I also colored the roof the same as the wall color so it would match. Santorini is well known for its white-colored buildings with blue accent roof, doors, and windows. I resized the straight classic stairs and recolored it the same as the first one we did. I had to redo the flooring and deleted the stairs near the hotel. Then I colored the other buildings that I haven't colored earlier. I'm gonna make the windmill first, and for the roof, we will use this flared mansard roof. Adjust the curvedness and height. I'm gonna color this brown grainy texture to look the same as the photos. I will try attempting on making the wind turbine parts. So we will be using structural items, and I'm gonna use this large square beam as the base. I used pillars to make a forward beam as the nacelle where the blades is gonna be. Please excuse the wonky beams that I make, because I tried so hard, but it still looks so wonky hee. I don't have a transform tool to adjust the angle, so please bear with how it looks. But if you have a transform tool, that would be a much better result since you wouldn't need the pillars. So yeah, that is how the wind turbine parts looks like right now. I'm gonna leave that as is, and we'll see if I try to redo this some other time. I'm gonna add this arched window and resize this a bit slimmer. I added 4 of those big ones, and we will add smaller arched windows at the bottom side. It looks alright from afar. Anyways, let's add this plain quarter fence on the staircase. And I'm also adding it on the edges of the mountain cause we don't want people falling off the island, hehe. I'm also adding some flooring on the sides of the apartment hotel, just to cover the side while we still have a lot of parts to go. I'm adding this plain half fence just to separate that this is a private area. I'm just adding plain flat roofs on the other buildings that was still empty. I would edit each building when we get to that parts, but for now, I just closed it off. Anyways, this is what I mentioned earlier about the dome roofs. So I will be adding a small detail using basic shapes and structural. The dome roofs have this small cross on top. I'm gonna delete the other roofs that I already added. That's why I mentioned earlier to not duplicate at that time, so you won't have to waste your money. And we will add this arched inset window, but resize this to make it slimmer just like on the windmill. I colored the inside to sand blue, and we will add this arched windows on all the sides of the top wall of the rounded buildings. Let's add a few boulders and rock formations near the mountains just to add details. This is quite expensive, so I just added a few. I also added some boulders on the other side, and then I thought, maybe I should just make the land area with grass. So I changed the flooring texture on the mountainside and made it grass. I'm just adding a few landscaping on the sides, and I just added some flowers as well. I added this flower fields on this planter and recolored this to shades of pink to look like a bougainvillea. And since it is a vine plant, I'm gonna add a few of this potted vine plant for now. I will add more vine plants on the next parts of the series. So this is the part 1 for now. The total plot value for this town right now is $39,490. I'm actually so excited about this build because Santorini is one of the countries that I wanted to visit. So this is how it is looking right now. I love the layout even if it is simple. I'm just glad that we fit it in this small plot. Anyways, this first level will be shops for like souvenirs. And then going on this corner, maybe I will add a small family house. And this is the upper floor of the house. So probably a shop beside it. And then on this long area, we will have the street markets. So more souvenir shops and a small restaurant maybe. Now let's go up and there we have the apartment hotels. So we have 2 which will be mirrored layout and both sides will have a private pool area. And on this center we will have the church. I'm not sure if I will add something inside or just make the exterior. This one is going to be a cafe al fresco, and then we have another restaurant on top with a view. And here's our windmill which has a wonky wind turbine hehe. It looks decent when zoomed out, so maybe I will redo the turbine or it depends hehe. So yeah, this is our mini Santorini here in Bloxburg. Thank you guys for watching. I would appreciate your support by giving this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Also click on the notification bell so you won't miss the latest videos I upload. Help me reach my goal of 10,000 subs. This would help me a lot, especially in making future videos for you all. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day, afternoon, or night. Love you all and take care. See you on my next video.